Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Tragick. This is gonna be something I'm gonna try and start doing. I did think about doing movie madness. This is basically what it's gonna be. But basically, I think I'm gonna change it to well, no, I'll probably just give it movie madness. How about that? It's gonna be I'm gonna find like a certain website and like talk about things that are on that website. So let's get right down to it. This is about movies basically. Um, First movie I'm gonna talk about is Mission Impossible. I haven't seen it in a long time, um, but I do know I remember it watching it, and I was really thinking it was gonna be like really awesome, and it was really good. But I just thought there could have been so much more with this movie, and it really was a big letdown. Um, Watched the second one. I thought it was worse than the first one. Didn't even bother watching with the third one. Have not seen it yet. I probably will get around to watching it at some point, and maybe watch the whole trilogy to see if it was better. All the way through. But for the most part, I thought knowing how big the show was and the theme song, it was so popular. I just would have thought it would have been a little bit better. But I did like the first one, but it just went downhill, and I don't know if the third one was any better, but it went downhill from one to two. So next movie we're talking about is Back to the Future. This is a movie that I love to death. I can go back and watch this like multiple times. The only one I can't go back and watch is the third one. It's kind of I do watch it a lot because it is on TV a lot, but it's the one that they seem to play more, and the one I most likely love is the second one. 'Cause that's crazy, sci-fi stuff and like things that are probably people most want to happen. So because of things in the future and flying cars and all everything, I really like Back to the Future. So all the three movies, um, really good. I used to have the trilogy and I got rid of it, but I will be buying that at some point and getting it back again. Really good movies. If you never seen the Back to the Future, the three movies, part one, part two, part three, um, definitely go out and check them out. Next movie is Point Break. I just heard news about this movie. I believe last night before I went and got off the computer. I was on a website and basically they said there was going to be a remake possibly done of this movie. So it's kind of odd because it came from like I think like the mid to late '80s. I think when it came out. Um, and basically you had Keanu Reeves is one of the main guys, and excuse me if I forget who the other guy's name is. I think Patrick Swayze was the other guy. Um, but basically, Keanu Reeves goes in and he's supposed to bust these guys for being thieves, and he basically becomes best friends with them, and really doesn't want to bust them anymore, and really wants to help them out, and feels their struggle and feels the I guess the adrenaline rush of doing what they do, robbing from banks and everything, and actually ends up helping them in the movie doing certain things, and it's a really good movie. It's hard to really explain what it's about, but definitely check it out. Definitely worth watching. Definitely one of Keanu Reeves, original movies that he really got popular and known for doing. So definitely check out Point Break. In which by the time you probably see this, there probably already will be a preview up to the theatrical trailer probably for the movie coming out. So who knows? The next movie we're talking about is um, Jaws. I'm going to talk about this briefly because there's so much hype behind this movie, and I watched it, and still a lot of people say it's really awesome. I'm probably gonna get bashed for this a lot, but I just really was not a big fan of Jaws. It was okay, you know. Back in the era, I can assure you it probably was a really great movie, In its time frame, it probably is a good movie. I just didn't really see like I mean it's not really timeless. There probably is some there's some things in there that is kind of time based like in that era, so it's okay. I mean, if I was sitting there and was going to tell you how good a movie it is, I'd probably compare it to all of the probably the movies who you watch and you think there's going to be a really good ending, and then it's just like, okay, this is what I expected, no surprise. So if you're looking for one of those movies, go check out Jaws. Really good. Haven't seen any other Jaws yet, just the original. So this is the first one. Next movie we're talking about is The Rocketeer. Rocketeer, wow. I mean, this movie was, I believe, was a Disney movie. Yep, doesn't say. All right, so Rocketeer, really good movie. I remember having in this regular Nintendo game. and actually playing that video game. Basically, a Disney movie with a dude basically he's a superhero. He's got a rocket pack on. He saves a couple people in the movie. Not really a too big of a superhero movie, but has some pretty cool scenes. Mainly a kids movie. So if you just want to see an interesting movie, check that out. Next movie is going to be Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is really good. It's kind of I want to say it is pretty timeless. There are some things that you watch and like, oh, I know this is in this era, but ghost hunting is kind of a big thing right now. So they go back and watch Ghost Hunters, or Ghostbusters. My bad, Ghost Hunters. It's not that old. Ghostbusters. The show is actually pretty cool, and to go far, say one and two is actually pretty good. Two, of course, wasn't as good as the original. Nothing's ever as good as the original. Um, but I do believe the second one had the same plus. Marshmallow Dude. There you go. Whatever his name is. It's hard to say. I can't say it. Um, I believe the second one had him in it. I could be wrong. Could have been the first one, but I don't think so. But yeah, you get the introduction to Slimer, I believe, in the original movie, everything like that. And even if you watch the cartoons, it just makes you want to go. If you go back and watch the cartoons and you watch the movie, it was pretty cool. The movie was not as good as the cartoons, but it was okay. If you want to go and get some really good like era based material, Ghostbusters is good. But I mean, it's pretty timeless. You can go back and anybody will enjoy the movie. It has some good. Rick Moranis, he plays kind of a side character in the movie, which ends up being a main character in the end. But pretty good role. Uh, the next movie I'm going to talk about is basically the Star Wars films, the ones they did after the three. They're all prequels. So they're pretty good. All in all, they're really, really good. I like the Clone Wars the best, which would be the second movie. The first one was I'm drawing a blank. Whatever the first one was that they did, the first prequel they did, basically with Anakin as a kid. It was okay, but like they had to explain a lot, so it was kind of boring. I do understand why, because it's basically like Star Wars is like a very, very elaborate comic book that you have to explain all these storylines that happen because you already did the other movies. So now you're explaining what happened to get them to that point. So you do have to kind of be boring in a sense, but it just kind of dragged and dragged and dragged. And I think they could have added just a little bit more, maybe exaggeration or something to make it a little bit more exciting. I don't know. I think the Clone Wars is better. Revenge of the Sith I thought was the worst out of all of them because I sat there and I watched it and it's like it wasn't boring, but some of the stuff is like seriously, you're just gonna jump from there to there automatically. It almost felt like there should have been like a fourth movie before they got to the bridge to No Hope. Uh, that's what I think. I think there should have been like another movie instead of just cramming it all in Revenge of the Sith. I think they could have spread it out and did something like that. Yeah. All right. So the next movie is going to be Jurassic Park. All right. So Jurassic Park had three movies. I think they just had three movies. They're all pretty good. I'm not going to bash any of them. I think I've seen all three of them. They're all pretty good. They're all kind of unique in their own different ways. So if you've never seen Jurassic Park, there's a lot of action. There's some comedy mixed up in them. I don't think the third one had much comedy, but the other ones had some little bit of pieces where you're like, really put that in there. But I mean, there was some comedy in the first and second one, but I think the third one was kind of like more action based. And you really seen Jurassic Park come to an end. Where the whole park was shut down. They could not go back to the place. Um, so in that aspect, it was a really, really, really good trilogy. And I think if we look back on it, they really can't. They really shouldn't make another one. If they did, then it would be them, basically redoing the whole entire park, and basically starting over from scratch. Um, but I mean, next movie is the X-Men movies, and I can't really talk too much about it. I don't really honestly remember a whole lot of it. I remember X-Men 1 and 2 movies, but I mean they were pretty good. But I just I don't know. I didn't get the feel for them as much as everybody else did. I haven't seen The Last Stand, and I haven't seen the new prequel movie. But the first and second one, the original X movies, the first and second one. Um, I thought they were okay. Um, I did see the Wolverine Origins movie, and I thought, between that Origins movie and the two X Men, it probably was in between. The first X Men was really good. The second one seemed like it lacked something. Origins was right there, like with the first movie, where it was pretty good. Had to explain stuff, but kept it exciting. There was things in the storyline make you want to go keep watching. That's better than that. This movie is Office Space. Office Space is really funny. That's all I'm gonna say. Stapler guy, hilarious. If you like, stupid comedies, that's where you want to go. Busting on the next one, RoboCop. All right, so RoboCop is really good movie in that era. Now, if you go back and try and watch that movie, um, probably not as good as what you remembered. And I think if you go back and watch some of these cheesy, mid '80s, late '80s movies, um, they're not as good as what you remember. Um, because they are kind of timeless in the fact, or they are kind of era timed to where you go back and watch, you're gonna see these things, you're like, wow, what is that? And it's like, oh yeah, that was what they were using back then. And it's like now, you see all cell phones and stuff like that, and that you didn't see cell phones in movies back then. You seen like these big old bulky headphones. I think you seen like in Ferris Bueller had one, I'm thinking, in his car at one point. Um, where he had the big old bulky phone. I mean, now you have cell phones. I'm sure like 10 years from now, they're gonna have like headsets on, and they'll be like, what is that? Where everybody's gonna have headsets on. Nobody's gonna have a cell phone. It's like, oh yeah, well that's the same thing as a cell phone. You know, you know, back then. You know, I just think some things are timeless. RoboCop is one of those things you go back and watch, and like I mean it's a pretty decent storyline, really good storyline, but yeah. And then going on and to find out later on, like probably about a year ago, I found out they had made like RoboCop's Past 3, which is the main motion pictures, but they made 4, 5, and 6 RoboCop movies. They've got to be horrible. I'm not even gonna attempt to watch those because I just probably know that they're horrible. Just know that they are out there. If you want to watch them, you can go watch them. Um, wow, that's all I gotta say. That's basically it. So this is Movie Madness. This is what movie madness is gonna be from now on, and maybe movies I might talk about the same movies over and over again. That's basically it. On a side note, I do want to mention that the new Dark Knight movie is coming out very shortly. I think it's called Dark Knight Rises. Very hyped about that. And also, The Hobbit is in production, or yeah, set for a December release, I believe. So very excited about that. So very awesome. I was a fan of Lord of the Rings movies. I am definitely a fan of Batman movies if you watched over the time. So there you go. This has been Movie Madness. Not really gonna post any list or anything down below, but 14 Band is still on its way. Any mysteriously day. Oh yeah, killer crackers. Warn the people. Purple's my favorite color. Yeah.